Hello, welcome to Vlogmas Day 18. I have been busy working on the computer all day today, and I realized that I hadn't checked in with you guys yet, which got me thinking that the perfect topic today might just be telling you exactly what I've been working on, which is my novel. This is a project that I started well over 10 years ago. It has gone through so many stages and growing pains, and I'm finally starting to feel like I am nearing completion. So I thought it might be kind of fun to share with you guys my timeline, my story, and what my next steps and goals are. I know a lot of people out there also have their own stories and novels and books that they're in the process of writing or trying to publish. I've actually found a very literary-centric friend group in New York City, so this topic comes up all the time, and hopefully someone out there can relate to my process or find inspiration in it to keep working on their own projects. So, I first started writing my novel, I want to say around the beginning of high school, which was about 2010 and feels like an entire lifetime ago. I've always really been into reading YA and fantasy novels, so I took a lot of inspiration from some of my favorite book series like The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan or Gone by Michael Grant, while also putting my own twist on things. I actually finished writing my first draft the week of high school graduation back in 2014, and it was a rough draft indeed. I spent a lot of sleepless nights writing this book, so a lot of it was kind of jumbled, incoherent, but there was a fully established plot. It was fully written with scenes and characters and dialogue and all that good stuff you need to make a story. Over the next few years, I started the daunting and tedious task of editing, which honestly is almost harder than actually writing the book. I wanted to go through the entire novel at least once before I started sharing it with a lot of people, although a few people had read it, including Ian, so that I could get some feedback on what should be scrapped, what should be kept, and where I should go with my editing process. And a lot of the feedback I received all kind of boiled down to one thing, which is that it was too long. If you've never met me, I am a professional yapper. I love to talk, and apparently that came through in my writing as well. I finished my first draft at the end of high school with over 400 Microsoft Word pages. I actually have a saved copy of the first draft for posterity, and I actually just went back to look, and it was finished with a total of 216,614 words. For some context, the average fantasy novel, according to Google, is about 100,000 words. If not somewhere between 90,000 and 120,000 words. So I had actually doubled the amount I should have been writing for this novel. And you may be thinking, oh wow, that's perfect. You could just split it into 2 books. Except for the fact that at least half of my first draft was scenes that are irrelevant, characters that don't add to the plot, and just a lot of side tangents that would go on for chapters. And it took a long time for me to realize and accept this about my book. When I first finished my first draft, I was very attached to what I had written and what I had created. But as time went on and I started rereading it and really trying to look at my story with a critical eye, I realized that a lot of the characters that I still love just as much as I did when I created them just weren't right for this story. They weren't really adding anything to the overall plot. They weren't working well with my other characters, and for one reason or another, they had to go. They had to go. And once I had accepted this, my job of editing got slightly slightly easier because I knew what had to be cut out. So following that was just the task of actually doing it. Over the years, I've definitely come and gone from my novel, sometimes taking really long breaks away from it. I remember there was one time I accidentally deleted half of my edited work up to that point, and I was so upset. I didn't touch the document for at least a year, probably longer. And even then, when Ian and I moved out to Los Angeles, I kind of shifted my focus and started writing screenplays for fun instead. And I don't think there's anything wrong with taking breaks like that. If anything, I think it made me appreciate this story more because at the end of it all, I kept coming back to it. And I think that really solidified in my mind that this is a project I really want to complete. Now, 10 years later, after finishing the initial writing of my first draft, I am actually just over halfway through editing it fully from start to finish. We are officially down to 188,593 words. And my goal is get it down to about 90,000 by the end. I think that would be a good ending point for my story. Also, by editing, I do more so mean rewriting the entire novel, not from scratch because I am going along with my first draft as I write, but I am fully rewriting every scene and chapter and almost every sentence actually, because the way I wrote in high school is so vastly different to how I write now. This is now after getting an English degree and gaining so much more literary experience than I had when I first started this project. I've also found that rewriting the story has given me such a deeper perspective and insight into my overall story, and I think has really helped me understand where I'm trying to go with the plot, what I'm trying to achieve, what some of my underlying themes are, and what I want, not just myself, but the reader to get out of this book. I will absolutely need to go through for another edit after this rewrite, probably multiple, but I will finally feel ready to start involving more people and hopefully a professional editor to start transitioning my focus into the publication aspect. So now that you have the full picture of my timeline and how I've gotten to the point that I'm at right now, let me tell you a little bit about the story itself. So it is fantasy genre, and I've debated back and forth on whether I would consider it to be YA, but I am leaning more towards yes for a few different reasons. I have aged my main characters up a few times throughout the years while editing, because when I started writing this novel at 14 years old, I thought 14-year-olds were the perfect protagonists and knew absolutely everything and could handle the insane situations I was creating for them. I no longer feel that way at 28 years old, but I also didn't want to age my characters up too much because I do plan for them to grow along with the story. So I have settled on an age of 16 for my main protagonists, which absolutely falls into the typical YA category for main characters. The premise is along the lines of the Chronicles of Narnia meet the Percy Jackson series. There's royalty, prophecies, magical powers, and a war brewing. It deals a lot with self-discovery, systematic corruption, and not being able to choose where you come from in life, but learning to take control of where your life goes from there. Originally, I had the idea that this would be a 5-book series, once again, calling out my yapping proficiency, but I think I'm actually going to aim for a trilogy. My goals right now are to finish my rewrite, have it looked over by a few close friends for edits, have it looked over by a professional editor, and then start searching for an agent or a publication company that can help me put my novel out into the world. Let me know down in the comments if you have a story you've been working on, or if you have one you'd like to start writing. If you're someone who has already succeeded in publishing your work, I would love to talk about your process and timeline and how you got to where you are. Otherwise, I am going to wrap this video up here. Be sure to keep an eye out for more information about my novel and publication journey. You know I will share anything and everything exciting as it happens. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss anything. Otherwise, I will see you guys tomorrow for Vlogmas Day 19. Bye!